Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Hello. Today's lesson is Chapter 1, 1.1. Today we are talking about place value patterns. What are place value patterns? Well, let's see what we are going to be learning today. Today we're going to learn to understand the relationship between place value positions. Okay? What can we do at the end of today's lesson? Well, I can find the number that is 10 times as great as a given number. I can find the number that is 1/10 of a given number. I can also describe how positions in a place value chart are related. Okay. So in today's section, we are on the explore and grow. What is explore and grow? Well, we're going to try and solve these questions. So let's take a look at this question right here. We just have one cube. Okay. We have one cube. In this section, how many cubes do you think we have? Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like we have 10 cubes. Now, if we look at this, we can say that this section is 10 times as great as this. Another way you might see it is you'll see a line like this, and it says, it'll be a blank line, and it'll say blank times as great as 1. So what exactly is 10 times as great as 1? Well, we know that this right here is 10 times as great as 1. Okay, now we're going to do this a few times, and I promise you, if you follow along, this is going to make a lot of sense. Okay, so we're going to call this a unit. We're going to call this a rod. Okay, it's a rod, and this right here is called a flat. Now in this flat, it has one of these. Let's see how many it has. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we have 10 there, let's see. If we do 1, we'll do 1 times 10. What do we get? Well, we get 10. And if we get, so there's 10 right here, right? And if we do 10 times 10, what do we get here? Well, we get 100, right? So there's one of these, there's 10 of these, 100 of these, and now if we multiply this times 10, so we do 100 times 10, what do we get? We get 1,000. So if we look at these questions, we ask ourselves how many times is greater, we're going to be able to figure out some of these answers. So let's take a look at the first question. It says we are talking about a rod. Okay, so we're talking about this one. I'm going to circle it. A rod. So how many times, this rod is how much of a unit? Okay, so how many more of this do we have than that? So this would be 10 times, right? Because there are 10 here and there's 1 here. So 10 times as great as that. All right, let's take a look at a flat. So now we are on the flat. So it says, how many times is a flat bigger than a rod? Well, how many did we say were in here? If this is 100 and this is 10, how much bigger is 100 than 10? Well, it's 10 times bigger. Okay, so this one's going to be 10 times as much as a rod. Okay, and this time we're going to do the cube. All right, how many times is that the size of the flat? Well, it's 10 times as much as a flat. Okay, now that's one way to write it, is times, but sometimes we can also go backwards and we can say 1/10. Okay, so let me give you an example of that. We have one of these, I'm going to write the words out of 10. So this right here, this one that I'm going to circle in blue, this is 1/10 of this, because we only got 1 out of 10. Okay, and the same thing right here. This would be 1 rod, 1 out of 10, right? 1 rod out of 10. And then this would be 1/10, 1 flat, right? 1 flat out of 10. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's see. So let me erase all this so this can make sense. So let's see. A unit. We're looking at a unit. A unit is 1 1/10 of a rod, right? Because there's one of these and then there's 10 of these. So that's 1/10, okay? Now we're talking about a rod, right? We're talking about the whole thing, not just the little cubes anymore. We're talking about the whole rod. So there's one rod out of how many inside of that flat? Well, 1/10 of a flat. A rod is 1/10 of a flat. And then a flat is, so one of these, right? And over here there are 10 of these. So it'd be 1/10 of a cube. All right, we're going to do a little bit more explanation on our next section. In this section, the Think and Grow section, we are going to talk about place value patterns. Okay, now what is the key idea? The key idea is that you can use a place value chart. Okay, we can use a chart to help us write some numbers that are, here's the keyword, 10 times as great of a number, or 1/10 of a number. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So if we have 700 and then we went to 7,000, right? 7,000 is a lot bigger than 700. How many times is 7,000 bigger than 700? Well, 7,000 is, the word is means equals, so 7,000 is 10 times as great as 700. Because if we did 700 times 10, we would get 7,000. That's why 7,000 is 10 times as great as 700. Okay, now let's do it the other way. 70, okay, 70 is 1/10 of 700, right? If we're talking about right here, we would have to do 70 times 10 to get 700. So 70 is, remember, is means equals. All right, so 70 is 1/10 of 700. All right, so here's exactly what we just did. It says you start with 700, and if you do 700 times 10, you would get 7,000. And if you would multiply 700 times 1 over 10, you would get 70. This is 1/10. Okay. Now, let's see if we can do one that is not completed. So let's see. Here's the question. So we have this blank line. I like to use the word what. Okay. So what? What is 10 times as great as 5,000? Right. So whatever this number is, it's going to be bigger than 5,000. So what is 10 times bigger than 5,000? So if we look at this number line, I'm going to ask you a question really quick. Is 500 bigger than 5,000? No. So that means we're looking at a bigger number. So what number would be 10 times bigger than 5,000? Well, that would be 50,000. Okay. Now let's take a look at this question. And it says, remember what word we like to put here? I like to use the word what. So what is 1/10 of 5,000? Okay. So we're just going to go backwards 1. So if we have 5,000 here and we want to go backwards 1, what is 1/10 of 5,000? That would be 500. Let's try another one and see if we can figure it out. This time the number is 90,000. So here's the number that we start with, and let's see if we can figure it out. What number do we like to put in this area? Or sorry, what word do we like to put? We like to put the word what. I like to say what. So what is 10 times as great as 90,000? So what number is 10 times as great as 90,000? Think of it this way. If I have 10 times as many basketballs than you, or Pokemon cards, or 10 times as many as you, that means I have more. So then what, we're looking for a number that is bigger and on that side. So what is 10 times as great as 90,000? Well, that would be 900,000. Okay. Let's take a look at the other question. This question says, all right, we like to use the word what. So what is 1/10 of 90,000? So what we want to do is we want to find, because right, we're dividing. So we're taking away from here. So what is 1/10 of 90,000? Well, that would be 9,000. Okay? All right, let's go on to the next section. In this section, we are going to try and answer several questions. All right, let's see if we can do this. So let's see. The question says, what number, right? Remember when I said the word what, I like to use, that usually was a line. So it says, what number is 10 times as great as 60,000? So if we use that example, if somebody has 10 times as many things that you do, that number is going to be bigger. So what number is 10 times as great as 60,000? Oh, sorry, is 6,000. I just gave away the answer. And the answer is 60,000. Let's try another one. Number 3. All right, this time we are going to get smaller. When we divide, when we use fractions, we get smaller. So let's see. What number is 1/10 of 300? That means we want to go back. So what number is 1/10 of 300? That would be 30. Let's try another one. Now, this time they're trying to trick you. So they're rewriting the question. It says 80 is. So remember we said the word 80 means equals. Is means equals. So 80 equals something or 10 times as great a number as what? So 80 is 10 times as big as what number? Okay? And so if we're thinking about this, we have to multiply. So 80 is bigger. So that means whatever number we are thinking about is going to be smaller than 80. So 80 is 10 times bigger than what number? Well, that answer would be 8. All right, let's try another question. How about this one? This one says 40,000 is 1/10 of what number? So again, 40,000 is 1/10 of what number? So that means if 40,000 is 1/10, that means we need to have 10 of these 40,000s. Okay, so we have 40,000. That means we would have, if we had 10 of them, right, we would have 40,000, another 40,000, another 40,000, until we counted all the way to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth. So that means whatever number this is going to be, it's going to be a big number. All right, so if 40,000 is 1/10, what number would it be when we have 10 40,000s? That would be 400,000. Let's try another question. Ooh, I like these ones. Let's finish the table. So let's see. Oh, sorry. So here's our number 10, and it says 10 times as great as the number. All right. So what is 10 times as great of this? Well, that would be 100. Okay. And then what is 1/10 of this number? Well, if we had only 1 out of 10, that would be what? 1. All right, let's try another one. What is 10 times bigger than 400? Well, that would be 4,000. Okay. And what would be 1/10 of 400? Right, so we're looking for a smaller number. What would be 1 out of that? That would be 40. All right, let's try another one. This time, what is 10 times bigger than 7,000? That would be 70,000. Okay. And then what would be 1/10? Right, 1/10 of 7,000. Right, we're looking for a smaller number. That would be 700. All right, let's try our last one. This one says 50,000. This time we're on 50,000. So 10 times bigger than 50,000 would be what? 500,000. Okay. And then what would be 1/10? We're looking for a smaller number. That would be 5,000. Okay. Now I want to show you guys something really quick. I don't know if you guys noticed yet, but when we did 10 times 10, Okay, what happened to the number 10? So if we had 10 times 10, we added how many zeros? How many zeros did we have? We have 2 zeros. Now, let's try it again this time. Let's see with 400 what happens. So this time I did 400 times 10, right? How many zeros do I have in this question now? So I have 3 zeros, and how many zeros do I have in my answer? 3 zeros. So 400 times 10 gave me 4,000. 7,000 times 10, right? 7,000 times 10 gave me 70,000. 50,000 times 10 gives me 500,000. All right, that was just a little simple trick, and we'll practice it. I know this is just our first lesson, but we'll get it. All right, let's try another one. Now we have 10 times as great as this number. Let's try this one out. So what is 10 times as great as this number? Well, 200 times 10 will give me 2,000. All right, let's do all of these, the times 10 first. So then what is 30,000 times 10? Or 10 times greater than this number. So what is 10 times greater than 30,000? Well, that would be 300,000. Okay, let's try another one. What is 10 times greater than 90? Well, that would be 900. All right, let's do our last one right here. What is 10 times greater than 8,000? That would be 80,000. All right, now let's do the smaller versions, okay? So what is 1/10 of 200? So if we only had one of these, one out of there, that would be 20. Okay, now let's try another one. What is 1/10 of 30,000? Well, that would be 3,000. What would be 1/10 of 90? That would be 9. All right, let's do the last one. What would be 1/10 of 8,000? That would be 800. All right, good job so far. Let's see if we can keep on going.
Perfect.